Are you looking to take your presentation skills to the next level? If so, this video is for you. Hi, my name is Abdil Aloy, also known as Buddy. I am a cybersecurity solutions architect working here at Cisco Systems. I've been with the company for almost 7 years, been in the industry for 10, going on 15. So I've had the ability to see a ton of different things. I've had the opportunity to connect with talented, great presenters, really impactful speakers, and I've learned a ton. So my goal in this video is to share some of the things that I've learned from a presentations perspective. So let's jump right into it. So the first thing when it comes to preparing for a presentation is really thinking about your audience. Who is your audience? What is it that they care about? It's important because if you don't think about it from your audience or customer's perspective, then you'll miss the mark every single time, right? Because you have to think about in their role. Let's say if they're an engineer, what does their day-to-day look like? If they're constantly jumping from tool to tool, as an example, and they are having trouble prioritizing the proper events and understanding where to invest their time, then delivering a story of a platform approach or a solution that can help them correlate all the various data that they have from their various tools in a very simple fashion, and then helping them understand which ones to prioritize and spend time on, that's something that they would want, right? So it's important to understand what is it that your audience cares about, because when you know that, you can now understand the challenge, the concerns, the pain that they're feeling, and then now you can imagine what a solution would look like and how you would be able to make their life easier, better from their current state. So the first step, as mentioned, is knowing your audience. The second thing, once you understand the audience and their pain point, it's really walking through the various challenges, right? There's different challenges that exist, right? And you might imagine one, but what are some others that you can think about? I think this part sometimes can be, it can be difficult, right? Because there's some innate ones that you think of, but then there's others that really could be at play, but you don't take the time to figure it out, to kind of think through it. And then if you jump on the call and you start to present, they mention something that kind of just throws you, it throws you off your game. And then now this is where the crutch words, and now it can potentially impact your flow. So it's good to physically write out all the various challenges and things that can happen. So if this happens, what is the reaction to that? So that's one way you can look at it. So once you have the challenges, then here's where you can talk about and think about the solutions, right? And then once you have the solutions to address the different problems, now you can work on your presentation. So certain companies, they have some canned presentations that you can leverage, and then from there you can tailor it based on the conversation that you're having. If you have that capability, right on, right? So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. From there you can just make adjustments. If you don't have that capability, right, you can use resources like Canva to grab a template, and then from there you can organize your thoughts and your presentations based on the conversation you're going to have. If you're struggling to provide a proper format or an outline for your presentation, you could always leverage AI, right? You can use ChatGPT to give you the various bullet points and structure so that you can now have that reflected within your presentation. Now, the other element when it comes to preparing for a presentation is how do you plan on either memorizing or making sure that you are sticking to your plan. So for me, leading up to my presentation, how I am able to commit knowledge and information into my mind, I use index cards. So for me, depending on, let's say if I have 8 slides or 9 slides, for each slide, I'll write down a few key thoughts that I have that should be shared, right? And or if there's like a really nice phrase that I want to deliver. One thing I've always recognized is that the beginning of the presentation really needs to hook them. Same thing like YouTube. Really need to have a strong hook, a strong start, because if you don't, this is where you might have your audience moving towards their iPhone and then now scrolling because you didn't catch your attention. So it's important to take your time in the beginning to really think about how it is that they spend their time, and then find a nice, great one-liner, two-liner that you can deliver to get their attention right off the bat, and then from there, kick the conversation from there. The other piece I would like to mention from outside of note cards, if you're having trouble with flow and you also want to look at your body language and see how you're showing up in front of screen, whether it's virtually or in person, something that I've used in the past for practice is a teleprompter. So here, this is a Glide Gear Pro Series. It has been helpful for me. I'll typically use it to, again, see my body language, help me work through my thoughts if I need to commit a certain amount of knowledge or information into my mind. This is something I'll leverage, but again, the only thing I'll mention there is you don't want to depend on it, right? Use it as a tool, not the rule. Remember that, as a tool, not a rule. So it's important to find what works for you. So this Glide Gear, it works with iPads, but if, again, you don't have to go that far, right? If you don't have a mirrorless camera as an example, you can use your iPhone, and they make teleprompters for iPhones, for Androids. Leverage that, and then from there, use that to improve on your presentation skills and maybe your reading ability, right? If you want to improve your reading skills, right, that's one way you can do it. Once you have all those different pieces established, now it's the practice. This is the biggest part. This is the main part. You have to rehearse your presentation out loud. I need to make sure I emphasize that, out loud, because I have done this in the past where I would bring up a presentation and then I would run through it in my mind, and then when it was time to present in front of a customer, I would use crutch words. It's all about but let me think about that. I don't know. I'm just making up crutch words at this point. But the point is, if you don't practice the way you plan to deliver, you will see some negative things show up that you didn't want to show up. So a rule, I guess, if there was a rule, if you have a presentation, let's say it's Thursday and you have to present by next Thursday, try your best to deliver to practice it. I would say minimum 5 times out loud all the way through. So most likely the way it goes, you focus on the first couple of slides and you maybe spend a couple of days on that. And then from there, you're doing different areas on different days. This is why it's important to go from beginning to end all the way through your talk track. So you do that minimum 5 times, shoot for 10, and by the time you get in front of the customer, you will be as polished as you can be within that time frame. Now, again, practice makes perfect, but do not let perfection be the enemy of progress. Be honest with yourself and be patient as well, and make sure you're just doing your due diligence on that piece. And over time, if you find, even when let's say you did really well and you got positive feedback on that conversation or that presentation, now start on your next presentation or create a presentation that you know you'll have in the future that will give you a head start. That has helped me. This is actually what I'm doing now. So I had this presentation where I had to talk about microsegmentation. Microsegmentation is coming up a ton because we've seen this natural evolution of applications. If you look at the past 3 decades, from monolithic bare metal deployments, application deployments, to hypervisors, because you're being provided with better compute utilization, to people wanting high availability and scalability. So then you have your Amazons, your Google Clouds, your Azures, really delivering on those services. And then from there, companies like Netflix making containers mainstream, to now we have serverless components that we can leverage, right, for our applications. So when you think about all these various evolutions, right, the only constant is change, right? We need a way to be able to have visibility across all your workloads, whether within a data center or in a cloud or both, right? Everything in between. So microsegmentation makes sense because now it gives you that visibility. We have the abilities to prevent lateral movement, right? We can provide inter-VLAN segmentation. So if we're in the same VLAN, as an example, I can prevent host A from talking to host B. As I prepared for that conversation or that presentation that I recently had on microsegmentation, again, it was me understanding who is the audience, what is it that they care about, and what are the challenges that they face based on the evolution of applications. You have your network administrators, they care about ports, right, and subnets and VLANs. So I have to make sure that I am incorporating this language into my discussion, into my presentation. This is the same thing that you would need to do for your audience. Understand the language that they speak in and incorporate that language into your presentation. When you're able to do that, over time, you will be able to develop trust. You're able to be consistent with the value that you bring because you are tailoring your message based on their care about. And that is the key there. So I hope you found the information that I provided informative and helpful. Again, gotta do the work. It's time to grind. It's time to hustle. It's time to execute. It's all about what people don't see. Take your time and work through the small things, how you enunciate, how you work through a conversation, or how you work through your entire flow when you're presenting or having a conversation. When you do these things, over time, communication, presentation will come off seamless when it comes to how you deliver it. So again, thank you for this time. Until next time, take care.